Holy crap. We just got a pension fund to buy Bitcoin. It just came out. And we also got word of a huge price target for Bitcoin, a 2050 price target. I know a lot of us like to look in the future and try to determine what our bags will be worth. So let's do some math. Sorry about the funky angle. Let's see. Okay, that's a little bit better. We're at the Airbnb right now at the Bitcoin conference. So yeah, we're making do with what we have here. But I want to break down some of this new information coming out today. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. And if you want to trade cryptocurrency, there's a link to MargeX underneath the video. Imagine you do like a 5x on Bitcoin. So your liquidation point would be about 53,000 or so. No, 52, 51, right around there. You do a 5x on Bitcoin, and we move to some of these numbers, and we're talking about literally a 1,000x. That's one of the price targets that a company put out, 1,000x on Bitcoin, basically. Imagine that on 5x. That would be a 5,000x. It's crazy when you think about those numbers, and we're talking years and years down the line. So maybe not the best thing to do, but if you do want to play the short-term game, if you want to play something for this cycle, you can go use leverage over on something like MargeX or CoinW. They both have airdrops set up that are going on for a little bit longer, so you can get some free tokens. But let's get into the market. So we have some liquidations over the last 24 hours, $321 million worth of longs liquidated. Over the last even 1 hour, we have $25 million worth of longs liquidated. So pretty big liquidation there. But overall, the price of Bitcoin is doing okay. Ethereum is having a bit of a tougher time. Like we look here, 3,100 down, 8%? I think right around 8% since the ETF started, maybe 10% now. Massive sell-off. Keep in mind, the Bitcoin ETFs made the price of Bitcoin sell off for about a week and a half. Then it turned around and it's done really well. So maybe we see something similar to that for Ethereum. But let's get over to the Bitcoin news. Mayor Stephen Fulop announces the Jersey City Pension Fund is updating paperwork with the SEC to allocate a portion of the fund to Bitcoin ETFs, similar to the Wisconsin Pension Fund's 2% allocation. Now, Jersey City, right? It's not going to be the biggest pension fund in the world by any means. I believe the Wisconsin Pension Fund is actually relatively large. Let's look at that. AUM for Wisconsin Pension Fund. How big is 155 billion? Okay. Jersey City, 100 billion. Keep in mind, if they put 2% into Bitcoin, even if it takes a year to buy that 2%, I mean, you're looking at a $2 billion inflow. That's pretty significant. And that's from one freaking city. One city. We keep on having that happen. Keep in mind, the total pension funds in the U.S. Account for a lot of money, about $11 trillion. So a 2% allocation would be $200 billion worth of inflows. Keep in mind, that does not push up the price of Bitcoin or the market cap of Bitcoin. 200 billion, it pushes up much more than that because they're vying for the little bit of Bitcoin that's left. So it would push up the price of Bitcoin much more. And keep in mind, we only have a couple pensions that we know of that are buying Bitcoin right now. But what's most likely to happen is we have the early adopters, and then exponentially we get more and more people that want to buy in, more pension funds, more state pension funds, more national pension funds. Like we have just a lot of entities that could buy Bitcoin that are doing their DD right now. So it will be interesting over time. And I think this is just like the first step. I think the end byproduct is Bitcoin is in every or most well-rounded portfolios. It's like instead of the 60-40 bond portfolio, it's maybe 80-10-10, something like that. Like I could imagine that happening when it's in target date funds. So when you're 25 years old, you automatically start buying Bitcoin through your job. That is the end goal that pushes the price up much higher, in my opinion. That's where we get into $2 million Bitcoin. And the game theory of different nations vying for Bitcoin, trying to stack as much, maybe it'd be really cool if they actually showed the Bitcoin that they had, right? And like if we're very open about, hey, we're going to buy maybe $100 million worth of Bitcoin every single day until we get to, a $5 billion or like maybe a small country, $5 billion. For a bigger country, $500 billion portfolio of Bitcoin, something like that. Now, we also have some crazy price targets, and I'll give you some thoughts on this afterwards. But Bitcoin price scenario by 2050. This is coming from Van Eck. Keep in mind, Van Eck's very bullish on crypto. Keep that in mind. But they run some different scenarios. Again, base, bear, and bull. It depends on international trade rate, global GDP growth. It varies on a couple different, it varies depending on a lot of different things. Total trade in Bitcoin, like there's just a lot of different things, but they're giving different CAGR rates. So bear case, it grows 3% a year. And in 2050, we have a Bitcoin price of 130,000. Okay. Not great. I mean, honestly, that's pretty bad. That would be a bad return. That would be worse than the S&P 500. Right now, that's lower than the return you get on a treasury. So you could get a 30-year treasury and get more than this, a better return. But what if we go with the base case? The CAGR for the next 26 years, 16%. Again, CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. The S&P 500 is around 10%. People in real estate can get, obviously, it varies. They can have any CAGR, but generally like 12 to 14% if you get a decent deal with everything included. And then we're talking about Bitcoin being 16%, so maybe just slightly higher than that. And then we get the bull case scenario. Price per Bitcoin, 52,400,000. Like some people would just say 52,000. You're missing the 400 extra thousand. That's how crazy it gets. Is you just round and you knock off $400,000 per Bitcoin. But 52,000, that would be a CAGR of 50%. That would be a huge market cap. I mean, we're talking about, what is that? Millions, billions, trillions, quadrillion, 1.1 quadrillion, or 1,100 trillion. That is nuts. This is around the CAGR rate that we've seen so far on Bitcoin. But that would still be very difficult. That would be, I'm not sure I want to live in that world because a lot of other things have crumbled most likely. But who knows? You're talking about $52 million Bitcoin, so you can do your own math. How much Bitcoin do you need to be a millionaire or a billionaire? How much is your bag worth? If you had a quarter Bitcoin, you're looking at, being in the 8-figure club. That wouldn't be too bad. I would be very happy with a couple $1 million Bitcoin. Again, as you get to those higher numbers, you start thinking, okay, where's this money coming from? What is worthless now? What kind of inflationary world are we living in? So keep that all in mind when you're wishing that we get to that point. But hey, if you have your hands on some Bitcoin, probably a decent scenario for you still, but there are going to be a lot of people that are in a tough spot. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts on that price target. It's crazy. I think that the base case scenario, a lot of people would be happy with. Honestly, I'd be happy with that. If Bitcoin returns 16% a year, again, that is significantly better than the S&P 500. If I could guarantee a 16% compounded annual growth rate on Bitcoin right now, I would do that. I would give up on the upside. I would give up the extra upside if I could guarantee a 16%. Because again, that is a crazy return in most people's minds. Let me know your thoughts. Some of the best investors in the world get 15 or 20%. If you can get that consistently, you're going to be very wealthy. Very wealthy. I mean, think about this. If you had $100,000 times, let's say, 16%, to 10 years down the road. That is $400,000. So you 4x in 10 years. The general markets would be a 2x. But you start looking at longer time frames, let's say 30 years. You're looking at that $100,000 being now worth $8.5 million. And if you can dollar cost average the whole time, you can do really well. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Again, thank you so much. If you want to trade crypto, you can check out the link down below to Margex and to CoinW. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.